Welcome to Worldwide Business. I'm Kathy Ireland. Keeping IT infrastructures up to date is an important role in sustaining an enterprise. However, budget constraints can often be a hindrance. AAC has recognized that this concern is especially true for the government space. President and CEO Paul Thomas is here to discuss how AAC's end-to-end IT solutions are benefiting federal agencies. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Kathy. It's great to be here.
Paul, could you please tell us about some of the major challenges facing the enterprise customers that you support?
Sure. The biggest challenge is the rapidly evolving changes that are occurring in technology, not only with systems, but also with information. The volume of the creation of information is overwhelming. Also, the way that the information is accessed and the way that it is used is changing rapidly. So therefore, for us, we need to be involved in helping them to do that. Government agencies often install systems in an incremental way. They make changes, they make innovations, resulting in an operation in an environment that is hybrid, and it's not optimal. And therefore, it's a challenge for us to handle.
And so can you please tell us how AAC is addressing these challenges?
For AAC, we see each customer as unique, and therefore we spend the time to get to know that customer, and we learn what their needs are, what their requirements, what their constraints are, be they security or regulatory, whatever they are. Then we're able to develop a solution that is unique to them and fits their needs and their requirements. Therefore, we're able to give them a unique solution, not a one-size-fits-all.
Paul, can you please tell us more about AAC?
Well, AAC is a mid-sized company whose focus is on modernization, resiliency, agility, providing to our customers what they need in the federal market. That's federal civilian, DoD, and intelligence community. We provide solutions that are focused on customer intimacy, understanding what their mission focus is. Therefore, we're able to make the mission better enabled rather than just providing a cost.
And Paul, can you share some of the challenges and advantages of being an IT solutions provider?
The growth, the rapid change of technology, and what happens for us is that we have to be able to stay ahead of it. So for instance, there's an innovation curve that, as an illustration, that describes a new innovation coming into the environment. And then very rapidly, as technology changes so rapidly, that innovation that was new and clean now becomes a commodity. You can buy it at the local store. As that life cycle happens, new technologies are introduced rapidly. We have to work with our customer to pick and choose to set priorities so that we can create a roadmap with our customers and deploy solutions. That's the challenge. On the advantage, since we have a large number of customers in many agencies, many in Department of Defense and so on, we're able to see what works, what doesn't work. And since we're working with these technologies, we're able to attract and retain technical experts because they want to be working with these new technologies as well.
And Paul, can you please discuss how AAC is positioned to address the market?
Well, we're positioned ourselves by creating a stack of solutions that enable us to support the customer across their entire enterprise, regardless of what it is. The stack goes from operations and maintenance of IT infrastructure to systems engineering and integration to enterprise architecture to cloud and agile deployment development. And this stack is augmented with partnerships and alliances that we've formed with other companies, where we're able to bring in exactly what the customer needs, when they need it, not trying to push some sort of a solution that doesn't necessarily fit.
Paul, could you please highlight some of the best practices that you're integrating into your offerings?
Sure. We have best practices across every one of our offerings. That stack I mentioned to you, it has, for instance, the operations and maintenance IT infrastructure stack. Our best practices around service delivery, because delivering service in an IT enterprise, where it's a complex enterprise, is very challenging. Things have to be done right and consistently done right. And so we have created a best practice around service delivery where we do root cause analysis, for example, where we identify what caused a problem, because there's always going to be a problem.
Right.
And we identify how we fixed it, how we're going to make sure it doesn't happen again, or escalation and notification, who's going to be notified and when, or service restoration teams, putting teams in parallel so that we can go in and communicate internally, aggressively, technically, and communicate with our customer in a way that's effective so that we can restore the problem as quickly as possible so that things are back on an even keel. And of course, continual improvement of everything that we do.
And you're an innovator. Can you talk about the innovation that you've brought to your customers?
The innovations that we bring are focused on customer understanding. So innovations for one customer wouldn't necessarily be a good innovation for another. So what we do is we work with the customer to identify what their issues are, their constraints, their issues around regulatory compliance, if they have HIPAA issues or whatever. We take that understanding of the customer, and then we start delivering innovation. And the innovation can be either a technical innovation, such as cloud or Office 365, or a mobility solution perhaps, or a back office thing. Or it could be a process innovation, doing things smarter, quicker, finding ways to streamline processes is an innovation. And there's business innovations that we bring to the table. For instance, focusing our customer on service delivery or service levels, and rather than on exactly how we're going to do it. We don't ask the electric company how they're going to get the electricity to our house. We simply want the switch to work. And that's the way it can be with a managed service, for instance, inside of an IT enterprise.
And Paul, what do you see as the most pressing concerns regarding mobility and enterprise security?
So mobility and security go together. Mobility is an interesting thing. In the United States today, there's more than 200 million smartphone users. Worldwide, it's more than 2 billion, and it's rapidly increasing. And of interest, about 11% of those users only use the smartphone for their productivity activities. They don't use a desktop or anything like that. And so the government has seen this trend, and they've also seen how using mobile devices enables their population of workers, the federal workers, to be able to be more productive when they're traveling or whatever they're doing. And so we also at AAC have the same mentality of an any device, anytime, anywhere. And we've developed solutions that enable our customers to use that in a secure way. So that gets to the second part, the security. Whatever you do with a phone, a mobile device, can be a security risk. But there are solutions where we can enable our customers to use these in a way that's totally secure. And as long as the customer understands the protocols, the security protocols that are in place, and enforces them.
And do you have an approach that specifically assists your customers in these areas?
We try to avoid a one-size-fits-all type of an approach. Instead, we use an enterprise approach with standards and frameworks. The enterprise approach is necessary since we're an enterprise IT infrastructure provider. We need to be able to see what will impact the other components of the enterprise. We take the time to understand very clearly what the customer's current status is, what their needs and requirements are, and then we develop our solutions to meet their exact needs. We work with the customers to establish a roadmap for IT, both the technologies that are being deployed, a roadmap for innovations, and a roadmap for things that they just want us to maintain, because sometimes they don't want to make changes. The issue is often that we'll put a new solution in place, and because of a very great fear by our customers that they might just have to be taking a security risk, they won't close down the legacy system. They won't shut it down. And so we'll be running multiple solutions at the same time. And so we put in place very nice detailed roadmaps and plans that enable them to, and protocols around security so that they feel secure and confident that they can operate in this new manner with the new technologies.
So can the legacy technologies coexist with the new and more stringent cybersecurity requirements?
Yeah, and they do. The challenge is that as the legacy, the older technologies, as they age, the divergence between the new and the old becomes greater and greater. And so the result is that you introduce additional risk from a security perspective. The opportunity to introduce new technologies is one that we hope that the federal government will embrace more and more as they ask contractors to give us objectives rather than solutions in their procurements. We're able to be creative and provide them opportunities to save money, to be secure, and to drive out cost. So for instance, if you want to move them to the cloud, we will leverage the investment, the capital investment made by the cloud provider, where once we would have had to build out our own private solution, we would have had to build it out large enough so that no matter what the surge would be, how large the requirement would be, we would have it covered. With the cloud, you simply buy what you need when you need it. And therefore, we're able to drive cost out, we're able to drive efficiencies, and provide to our customers the best possible mission experience that they have, because they can divert the funds that they would have spent to other things to mission.
And Paul, can you please explain how you address the needs of your customers when they're enduring budget constraints?
The budgets are getting more and more difficult for the federal government and for probably everybody. What we do is we have a intensive innovation plan that works on driving cost out. Not only innovation process can drive out cost out by making processes cleaner and smoother, and also business changes. A business change would be, for instance, giving a managed service to the customer. A managed service allows the customer to say, here's what I need, not how I need it. It allows us to deliver it in a way that's most efficient for the customer, drives cost out, or we could give them certain things as a service, or again, where we're leveraging infrastructure investment other people made. So we're involved in all of these things that help the customer in a constrained environment.
Paul, can you speak about your nonprofit work that supports orphans and foster care?
Yes, I sure will. Thank you for asking. We have a nonprofit called Hope Village, and it's at hopevillage.com. We work to provide mentoring for children, for the foster kids and the orphans. We also, or the ex-orphans, the adopted children. Well, we use folks out of churches and others out of work who are interested in working with the kids and providing them school support, other kinds of support. They can get involved in all sorts of things. They take the kids and go do things with them, and it's a great thing for the kids to get another perspective on life. And we provide support to families and support groups and so on through that nonprofit.
And you talk about the importance of mentoring these children. Who have been some of your mentors?
Well, that's a good question. I worked for General Rod Isler, who was a great man. He provided me the depth, the compassion. He was uncommonly wise in how he operated, and he understood that people had earned a break. They'd earned an extra chance, and he gave it to them in addition to all the rest of the great things he did. So he was a great mentor for me.
Paul, what is most meaningful to you about this work?
To work with customers whose missions really matter, to better do their mission, to be focused and be able to be productive rather than struggling with things that should be simple.
Well, Paul, it certainly appears that AAC's innovations can maximize the budget of an enterprise while empowering IT to better serve the agency's mission. Congratulations, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kathy.
For Worldwide Business, I'm Kathy Ireland. Thank you for watching.